In 1967, a speech was given that started by saying, over the last 10 years, the African American decided to straighten his back up, realizing that a man cannot ride your back unless it is bent. A very important and powerful image of the 1960s civil rights movement, and in fact, perhaps a very powerful image for events today. Maybe more so today, rather than an upright straight back, is a bent kneeling knee. And that's something that is worth discussing. And in fact, just like you, your social media, my social media is inundated with ideas about this, inundated about different ways to make sense of events unfolding, of how to make sense of this last year of 2020. And, what I most appreciate out of all the views that I see of all my friends is the appeal to the past. And I encourage you and I challenge you as you scroll past this video and other social media things today and look at how often the past is being appealed to make sense of and to validate or discredit certain events of and actions today. And one thing I see on both sides of political spectrums talking about events in the United States is the appeal to Martin Luther King Jr. And if we're going to appeal to individuals and people and events of the past, then it's important to understand the complexity and the views and to actually look at some of the words of individuals that you are relating to, if you're relating to them of certain people and actions and decisions today. And of course, if you think of Martin Luther King Jr., you think of him giving a grand speech with thousands of people and watching on TV of giving a dream. But also, you might have read his letter in 1963 in the Birmingham jail. And both are incredibly important. And if you haven't read his letter, if you haven't listened to the speech, definitely go online and check it out. Very important. But in 1967, he wrote the words I just said to you. And it would have enraged people, just like a bending knee would rage people now. But he also talks about, and his main question of 1967 is, where do we go from here? That's the title of his piece, written in 1967, Where Do We Go From Here? And in fact, I ask you in 2020, where do we go from here? Where do we go as a nation in the United States? Where do we go with a pandemic globally? Or whatever country you're watching this from, where do we go from here? And Martin Luther King, if we're going to appeal to Martin Luther King, we might as well read what he has to say about it. And we're talking about a man who's a Christian political leader, a civil rights leader. And he talks about what he calls that America needs to be born again. And what he means by that, what he's saying is that, and I conclude, he says that we have a task. Let us go with divine dissatisfaction. And he talks about dissatisfaction. He's talking about, in the last few years before writing this piece, he's talking about political changes that are happening, that laws are being transformed and revolutionized and getting rid of segregated laws. But there's still a dissatisfaction. When do we stop this dissatisfaction? When is it done? Is very clear if you look at his writings. And he says, let us be dissatisfied until America will no longer have a high blood pressure of creeds. Let us be dissatisfied until the tragic walls that separate the outer cities of wealth and comfort from the inner cities of poverty and despair shall be crushed by the battering ram's forces of justice. Let us be dissatisfied until those who live on the outskirts of hope are brought into the metropole of daily security. Let us be dissatisfied until slums are cast into the junk heaps of history, and every family will live in decent, sanitary homes. Let us be dissatisfied until the dark yesterdays of segregated schools will be transformed into bright tomorrows of quality, integrated education. Let us be dissatisfied until integration is not a problem, but as an opportunity to participate in the beauty of diversity. Let us be dissatisfied until men and women, however black they may be, will be judged on the basis of the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. Let us be dissatisfied until every capital will be housed by a governor, a political leader, who will do justly, who will love with mercy, and who will walk humbly with God. Let us be dissatisfied until every city hall justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Let us be dissatisfied until that day when the lion and the lamb shall lie down together, and every man will sit under his own vine and fig tree, and none shall be afraid. Now, he's saying a lot there. But one thing he's saying is, let us be dissatisfied, and if you're dissatisfied and discomfort, that you have action. Now, going back to his letter of 1963 in Birmingham jail, he's writing about his anger in jail. He's writing, it's fuming, that's feuding as he's sitting in that cell. And who's he writing to? He's not writing to people of the KKK or different hate groups that are attacking civil rights members. He's not writing to civil rights groups that are taking directions that he doesn't agree with. He's writing to those of indifference. He's writing to those that aren't taking a stand, that are sitting on the fence and just watching events unfold. Right? He's looking at those that might be dissatisfied, but not sharing it. Those are dissatisfied, but not taking action. Now, some of you might be upset by people taking action, rightfully so, with people dying unnecessarily, with both by police, by law enforcement that should be upholding the law, but also by, people in groups of riots that are killing people and destroying family businesses. And that's making people upset. And people are looking to Martin Luther King to say what he would do or wouldn't do. And if you're looking at the dissatisfaction that he's talking about, and if you're looking at what he also says, and I'll go on, he says, I must confess, my friend, that the road ahead will not always be smooth. There will still be rocky places of frustration and meandering points of bewilderment. There will be an inevitable setbacks here and there. And there will be those moments when the buoyancy of hope will be transformed into the fatigue of despair. Our dreams will sometimes be shattered and our hopes blasted. We may again, with tear-drenched eyes, have to stand before the barrier of some courageous civil rights workers whose lives have been snuffed out by the dastardly acts of bloodthirsty mobs. But difficult and painful as it is, we must walk on it in the days ahead with the audacious faith in the future. So, take as that if you will, but if you're going to appeal to members of the past, know the words that they wrote. Know the words and the ideas and the values that are being set forth and the directions based on those words and feelings and actions. Then put those into perspective of what is happening today and make your decision there. Just want to share that to you because I love you. I respect my friends on my Facebook page, and I just want to share as a historian some historical context of what was said, of a man that you're appealing to, that I'm seeing on social media page on both sides of political spectrums and ideas of what's happening. And I just wanted to share that with you today. Most of all, I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope you are safe. I hope with all the coronavirus anxiety that's there, that this is a time of some quiet time for you and your families to show the people you care about, who you love, to take action as you feel fit, that you feel a passion about and guided through reason, and hopefully by spiritual grace. And to all my Christian friends, this is time for prayer. And please know I am here. If you're feeling isolated, please email me, message me. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to have your comments here. And just share, if you're going to share historical things, share what has been said, share the historical context, primary sources, and make your judgment and analysis for yourselves. I love you, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video.